the basis of your experiences in your spine.
The first time I heard Sadhguru say that, I paused. I mean, we usually think of the brain as the center of everything. So, why is it that the yogic sciences put so much importance on the spine? And that question actually stayed with me. Part of the reason it stayed with me is because of something very personal. I was born with a mild form of scoliosis, which is a slight curvature of the spine. Interestingly, even my Bollywood crush, Hrithik Roshan, has the same issue. Anyway, it is not something that has seriously affected my life, but it is something that I've always been very aware of. In fact, I even sent out a query to Isha Yoga Center wondering if the curved spine would hamper my spiritual growth. And they said it definitely won't. But each time I sit for meditation, I seem to feel a bit of an imbalance. Now, I don't know what this means in yogic terms. Maybe what they call the Ida and Pingala are not balanced. Maybe I'm just imagining it all. Maybe there is something more to it. So, naturally, I wanted to explore further.
The most important thing is your spine should be in a certain condition because your perception is largely handled there. See, spine is not just a physical substance, it is a communication network, a serious communication network. If you lose it, or if it becomes insensitive, you don't know what you're losing. You're just losing something phenomenal.
And then I noticed something very interesting. Almost every meditation instruction begins the same way. Sit comfortably, keep your spine erect. Yoga teachers say it, meditation apps say it, even traditional practices say it. But here's the strange part. Almost nobody explains why. So is it just about posture or is something deeper happening inside the body? So naturally, I decided to explore this question. And when I started looking deeper into the biology of the spine, I came across something fascinating, which involves breathing and a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. Now this made me wonder something. Could that be one of the reasons that yogic practices emphasize so much on breathing and an erect spine together?
In yoga, they went to a different dimension and said, your spine is the axis of the universe. They are not saying this because they believe that you are in the center of the universe. Because you are capable of knowing the universe only from the context of your experience. And the basis of your experiences in your spine.
Okay, so let's get deeper into this. Inside your spine runs the spinal cord. Now this structure connects your brain with every other part of your body. Think of it like a superhighway. Every movement, every signal, every sensation, every single stress response travels between your brain and your body through this pathway. But the spinal cord isn't the only thing inside your spine. Your brain and spinal cord are surrounded by something called the cerebrospinal fluid. Now this clear fluid has several important functions. It protects the brain from shocks, it carries nutrients, and it helps remove the waste products from our nervous system. But what's really fascinating is this. This fluid is constantly moving. And one of the things that influences this movement is your breathing. Recent studies in neuroscience show that breathing creates subtle pressure changes inside your spinal canal. Now these pressure changes gently move the cerebrospinal fluid between the brain and the spine. So when you inhale deeply, fluid shifts in one direction, and when you exhale, it moves again. In other words, breathing creates a natural pumping mechanism for the cerebrospinal fluid. Now think about this. Many yogic practices talk a lot about breathing and deep breathing with an upright spine. Why do you think that is? Because when the spine is aligned and the breathing is conscious, this internal fluid movement becomes smoother and more efficient. And this may be one of the physiological reasons why people report feeling clearer, calmer, and more focused after a meditation or a pranayama practice. So now we know that posture and breath can influence how the body functions, including the movement of the cerebrospinal fluid. But this left me with the more personal question that I started off with. What happens when the spine itself isn't perfectly aligned? Because in my case, there's a slight curvature, as I told you, and for the longest time, I only saw it as something physical. But if alignment plays such a central role in how the system functions, could it also influence how balanced we feel more subtly? And this is where I found something further, which is also very interesting. In yogic sciences, the spine isn't just a structure. It is seen as a kind of a central pathway, like I said. And they talk about the three main channels, the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushumna. The idea is the left and the right represent different qualities, almost like two opposing forces. And the real balance happens when these are aligned in a way that allows the central channel to become active. Now, I'm not saying a curved spine directly blocks or disrupts this, but it did make me pause and wonder. If this axis is so central, both physically and energetically, then what does alignment really mean?
The spine is not just one single piece, it's many complex assembly. Every day it needs to stretch. If it telescopes into one into another, then the communication capability in the spine is hugely lost. So, this Yoga Namaskar, it activates the lumbar region of the spine in a tremendous way, strengthens the muscles along the spine, giving it a reinforcement so that as one ages, the collapsing of the spine, which causes pinching of the nerves, does not happen. And if already there's damage is setting in, the best way to regenerate your spine would be by doing Yoga Namaskar. It has all-round benefits for the entire body. Yoga Namaskar is a very simple and complete process by itself. A natural upsurge of energy will happen if you just keep your feet together and sit down in a squat. So the squat is best if you can put your feet together and squat, which most of you cannot do right now. Very few people can do. We don't want too much energy to happen, so the next best stance is to keep your feet in line with your shoulders, just the same width as your shoulders. You can do up to 21.
The more I explore these intersections between modern science and ancient practices, the more fascinating they become. Because traditions like yoga often started from direct human experience, and science sometimes comes later, trying to understand why those experiences worked. Whether it's the spine, the breath, or the nervous system. And I think that space where science and inner exploration meet is a very fascinating place to explore. Maybe the spine isn't just something that holds us up. Maybe it's something that reflects how aligned we truly are. Not just physically, but in how we think, how we feel, and how we live. I started this by asking what a curved spine might mean. But what I'm really left with is a different question. If this axis of my body is so central to everything, then what would it truly mean to bring it into balance? I think I need to do another video on that. But till then, let's go on this inward journey together. Let's specta with Ekta. Until next time, bye-bye.